Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a video review. And for this review, I'm going to be taking a look at Halo Infinite, the campaign though, for the Xbox Series X and S. The game I'm basing it off of the Xbox Series S version though. And I also want to give my thoughts on the movie Spider-Man No Way Home that I just came back from the theaters at just recently watching this movie though. And if you're interested in any gameplay footage of me playing the Halo Infinite campaign, I'll have a link down in the description down below, or you click on the card that will appear up on this video, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. And for parents out there, it's worth pointing out that Halo Infinite campaign is rated T for teens, for ages 13 and up, by the ESRB though, while the movie Spider-Man No Way Home is rated PG-13 though. I'm not really a big Halo fan or anything like that. I never really got into the series though. I've heard of it though, but never really got into it, mostly because I never really owned an Xbox or anything like that. For me, it was either a Nintendo console or a PlayStation console, to be exact though. It's only when I got the Xbox Series S that I started to try out some of the games that Microsoft had, or just, you know, the Halo series in general with like the Master Chief Collection and so forth. That's when I started to try out the series though. And while I'm not the biggest Halo fan, I don't hate the series or anything like that. I've always thought the series looked kind of interesting and all that stuff. The whole idea with the Spartan and Master Chief and all that stuff. And the series has certainly seen its highs and its lows though. While many do view the original Halo and even Halo 3 as a good game though, the series has also had some, well, let's just say some lows or controversies to be exact. The Halo Master Chief Collection, when that originally came out for the Xbox One though, had some major issues when it launched though, and did not get off to the best of starts. And 343 Industry, the developers that took over after Bungie decided to do their own thing with Destiny though, they took like almost an entire generations to fix that game, which is currently fixed in a better place than it is when it originally launched though. And Halo 5 did not sit very well with everybody, so excuse me, some people liked it but some people didn't though. And so Halo Infinite was sort of an interesting title when they originally announced it though, and it was originally announced to be a launch title for the Xbox Series X and S though. But when the first gameplay trailer of it, or at least the campaign trailer, was shown off in 2020, the response did not sit very well with everyone though. A lot of people complained about the visuals, and there was the famous Craig meme, to be exact, to the point that basically Microsoft decided that they were going to delay that game and not make it a launch title and release it in 2021. This was a very surprising move for Microsoft to do in general though, to not have a big release or a big launch title for their upcoming consoles though. That makes as much sense if Nintendo decided not to release Breath of the Wild on the launch of the Nintendo Switch, to be exact. So this was a very risky move for Microsoft to do. At the same time though, we saw something similar with the Sonic the Hedgehog movie as well, when the first trailer of that movie was shown to a negative response, particularly the way how Sonic was designed, to the point that Paramount decided to delay the original release around like in November 2019, around Thanksgiving, to around I think February 2020. I believe that's when it came out. I'm not 100% sure though, but that seemed to have paid off very well for them, and mostly because they redesigned Sonic, but the movie did very well at the box office. So there was certainly some hope that the campaign or the game would do better. During the 2021, we saw the release of the multiplayer mode, which, while there are some criticism about certain features, it seems the response generally has been positive on that, though I haven't yet tried the multiplayer mode. But there was those who were waiting for the campaign and wondering if the campaign was going to be good. And since there was little to no information though, there was concerns about whether or not it would be good though. But as we got closer to that December release though, Microsoft started to talk more about the campaign though. And now that the campaign is out, and now after spending some time with it though, I honestly will say that along with Metroid Dread though, I do consider the Halo Infinite campaign I would say, as definitely can see why this game does deserve sort of Game of the Year material. And I will say it's definitely fun, and I definitely like the direction that they are going with Halo Infinite, though, even though there may be some parts I don't exactly 100% agree with. So why don't we get started with the pros and cons, and we'll start with the pros. The first one is the gunplay, though, and I will say this is probably the game's bright spot, though. Obviously, anybody who plays a Halo game is it is a first-person shooter and all that stuff. And honestly, I have to say, the game plays really well, though. The gunplay is solid, though, whether it's aiming your gun or not in any way, though. And each gun has their own unique abilities and all that stuff, and it just feels good, though. I mean, there were times when I aim my gun, sometimes I don't, though, but the gunplay is just definitely spot on. And what also makes it interesting is the use of the grappling hook, though. And this is a very unique feature, though, and it makes moving around a lot easier than a lot of people thought it would be. I mean, it makes it easier, like if you're trying to scale like a mountain or a wall or something like that. It makes it it makes it better scaling certain areas than, say, other open world style games, though. And while it's not perfect, though, I didn't find it to be any annoyance in terms of using the grappling hook or anything like that. So in terms of gunplay, though, it's really good. So I definitely like what 343 Industry did with the gunplay, to be exact. The next thing I want to talk about is the visuals, though. Now, granted, though, the visuals aren't going to look as good as what we will see on the Xbox Series X or the PC, for that matter, though that some of that will depend on, you know, how your PC is set up, what kind of graphic cards you have, and so forth, though. But for a game on the Series S, it doesn't look that bad at all. It runs at 1080p, though, and you do have the option of quality or performance mode. I opted for performance mode, and the game runs at a very good 60 FPS. The fact that you play this game you can play this in an open world at 60 FPS is definitely icing on the cake. So I definitely think that's good. As far as the visuals go, it looks nice. There are times when the game does look good, and it definitely looks good majority of the time. There are occasions when you might spot some stuff here and there, like if you get really close, you might the trees may not look as impressive. They're not terrible, and I have seen some pop-ins here and there, but nothing that made the game look awful or anything like that. The alien designs, the Banish, look really nice, and so do the characters and all that stuff. So it doesn't look that bad on the Series S, though. I mean, yes, it's not going to be the prettiest looking game at 1080p, but still, for a Series S, for my system, like for the Xbox Series S, it looks good on that, though. And of course, you know, running at 60 FPS is definitely not bad. And last but certainly not least is the approach they decided to take for this game. And I definitely like the fact that Microsoft and 343 Industry decided to take an open world approach compared to basically past Halo games where they took more of a excuse me, linear / you know, Call of Duty type of approach. Now, there are certain sections in the game where there will be some linear approach, but the majority of the game is in an open world style. Now, in terms of the open world style, there is a little bit of that Ubisoft open world where if you liberate a FOB, forward operation base, you can unlock certain things in that area, such as finding you know, like Spartan chips, which are necessary to upgrade Master Chief's abilities, though, to other missions in the area, to be exact, some side quests, and so forth. And while that might turn some folks off, the good news is it's not like clutter all over the place like most open world Ubisoft games turn out to be. So it's definitely better than that, though. And when completing some of these side quests, whether it's destroying a propaganda tower, liberating several soldiers, or doing some of the side missions, you'll also earn Valor, which can be used at forward operation bases to unlock ranging from weapons to vehicles and so forth. So there's stuff to do there, ranging stuff to do in the game. Also finding Spartan chips, and also taking out high profile targets in the game. So I definitely like this approach that they did with it, though, and it's a really nice approach they decided to take with the open world approach for this Halo game, particularly with Halo Infinite though. Also, the story and the lore is impressive though. In a way, it kind of gives off somewhat of a little bit. I'm not saying they're exactly the same though. They're both in terms of gameplay different though, but I kind of get a little bit of a Metroid vibe to it and somewhat of a Breath of the Wild vibe to the Halo Infinite story though, and to me that's not necessarily a bad thing in any way, since I'm a fan of those two series to be exact. But in either way, I like the open world approach, and the story and the lore in the game is good though. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2, which is the cons. Plus, I want to give my thoughts on the Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man No Way Home. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our video review of the Halo Infinite campaign for the Xbox Series X and S. I'm basing this off the Series S version. So now that I gave you the pros, why don't we get started with the cons? And there are really only 3 cons I could think of in regard to my time with the Halo Infinite campaign. We'll start off with the first one though, and that is for Halo Infinite follows the same approach that past Halo and most FPS shooters like Call of Duty have, and that is you could carry only 2 guns at a time though. While this isn't necessarily the most annoying thing out there, or should I say not the worst thing out there, it is a little bit unfortunate that they don't give Master Chief the ability to carry more than 1 gun or something like that, because I'm sure there are certain guns that some Halo players may or may not like though, and they want to hold on to that one though. So it's a little bit unfortunate though. Does it ruin the game in any way? No, it doesn't completely ruin the game or does anything like that. But I won't deny it is a little annoying here and there though, but I won't consider this the highest con out there though. The next one, and this one mostly applies to those who have an Xbox Series S. Now, those who have it on Series S though, the game does have a graphical option though. Now, I don't have a problem when games offer a graphical option. The choice between lowering the resolution a little bit to get a higher frame rate or raising the resolution to get a lower frame rate. We've seen several games that have done this before though. Games like, some of the most famous ones are games like Neo or NIOH on the PS4, which offered the option to either play the game in action mode, which lowers the resolution but has the game run at 60 FPS, or in movie mode, which raises the resolution but lowers the frame rate to 30 FPS. Another game that took advantage of this was Fire Emblem Warriors for the Nintendo Switch, which did give you the option to play the game in quality or performance mode. Quality mode 1080p 30 frames per second, or performance mode 720p at 60 frames per second. Now, like I said, I don't have a problem with that. The thing is, for the Series S owners at this time though, it seems that while the game offers a quality mode or a performance mode, the game is going to be stuck at 1080p no matter what though. So even if you turn in quality mode, you're not going to get a higher resolution or anything like that. Some areas might look a little bit better, but it's going to be 1080p no matter which mode you pick though. So to me, it almost comes off as like doesn't make any sense to have a graphical option if it's just going to be 1080p no matter what. I can understand if it was 1080p 30 frames per second or 720p 60 frames per second, but it just seems like an odd choice they're giving for those who own a Xbox Series S to be exact. I mean, personally, I just left the game on performance mode and kept it at 60 FPS, and that's what I pretty much did though. I do remember reading somewhere that originally there were plans to offer perhaps the ability to have the game up at 120 frames per second or at 1440p, but they took that feature out in the final version for those who pick it up for the Series S. If that's true though, I'm curious to see why they took that out, and I do wonder if 343 Industry will add that in maybe like a future update or not. But until that happens, if it happens though, it seems regardless if you pick quality mode or performance mode, the game's going to be 1080p no matter what. So it just seems sort of odd, at least in my book though. And last but not least, and this is something that sort of came off during my time with Halo Infinite though, and that is the game itself, is that I still think the game's good. It really is, don't get me wrong, but I feel like they could have done more with it. I feel as though they weren't sure if this open world approach was going to click with everyone, to be exact, though. Based on the response, it certainly has, and I definitely like this approach, but I can't help but feel they could have done more. Like, say for example, I would have loved to see some RPG elements thrown into the game. Maybe have the ability to level up Master Chief. I mean, not like having different like guns with different like spells or abilities or anything like that, but maybe something along the lines of maybe having the ability to, like, you know, raise his like, you know, like his stats, like maybe be a bit stronger, maybe take more damage, maybe basically maybe be able to, in terms of accuracy, maybe able to aim the gun better, and also improve some stats here and there. Kind of almost somewhat similar to sort of like, you know, the games like Fallout or Skyrim or anything like that. So I just feel as though there's like so much more they could do and all that. It's kind of similar to how I felt with Breath of the Wild, though. I mean, good game, don't get me wrong, it still is, though, but sometimes you feel that they just feel like you wish they kind of expanded upon that idea, though. Now, obviously, we're getting a sequel to Breath of the Wild, though, so it's going to be interesting to see if they expand upon that idea. So maybe we'll see something similar with Halo Infinite, though. If maybe they'll expand upon what they started in Halo Infinite, maybe for the sequel, well, maybe they can move beyond that. But to me, it feels like they could have done more with Halo Infinite, though. Overall, though, Halo Infinite is a fun and enjoyable game, and while it certainly had to wait a whole year for it to come out, it looks like it was well worth the wait, though. At its best, though, the gameplay is great, from the gunplay to the use of the grappling hook, though. I definitely like the open world approach that they took with this game, though, and I will say visually, it doesn't look that bad on the Series S, though, and the option to run it at 60 frames per second is definitely not a bad thing, though. At its worst, however, though, while there is a graphical option for the game, though, I do feel as though it does come off a little bit pointless, because regardless if you pick quality mode or performance mode, it's still going to be 1080p no matter what, though. The fact that you can only carry 2 guns is somewhat disappointed, but nothing that ruins the game. And last but not least, like I said, you feel like they could have done more with this game, though. But in either case, though, I think Halo Infinite's campaign is fun, it's enjoyable, it's definitely a step in the right direction that 343 Industry and Microsoft's taking with the Halo series, though. Now we just need to see them kind of make that push, like really take what they started with Halo Infinite's campaign and see if they could take it to the next level. To me, it feels like they laid a foundation, a very good foundation. Now they have to figure out exactly how to expand upon that foundation. But in either case, to me, Halo Infinite's campaign is fun and it's enjoyable and it's worth taking a look at, especially if you have Game Pass in general, though. So it's definitely a good game, to be exact. So for me, I definitely liked Halo Infinite's campaign. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did, though. Okay, before I end this video, I want to give my thoughts on the movie Spider-Man No Way Home, the third entry in the Spider-Man series set in the MCU, though. Now, this one, when the first trailer was shown about this, though, this was sort of interesting, the direction they were going with it, though. The idea of the introduction of the multiverse and so forth, though. And what was interesting was seeing some of the villains, particularly from the other Spider-Man movies, though, from the past one, before Spider-Man was introduced in Captain America Civil War, though. And I would say this was well worth the wait, to be exact. The movie kicks off just right after sort of like kicks off right after Away From Home, when the world learns about who Spider-Man is and all that stuff. And the idea of him going to Doctor Strange to try to erase people's memories, but sort of created a tear in the multiverse, which brings in villains from different, from other universes though, from the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man to the Amazing Spider-Man universe though, and it's just interesting to see the original cast of those movies make an appearance in this. This is just like so, it feels like a bit of a nostalgia trip out of it though. And what's even more interesting was seeing Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire in this movie. This was amazing to see all three of them with Tom Holland, all three Spider-Mans in there, from the original Spider-Man series, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man series, to the Amazing Spider-Man series here in one though, and to see them sort of interact though. And it's very interesting to see that scene because it kind of reminds me of that scene from X-Men Days of the Future Past, when a young Charles Xavier meets the old Charles Xavier played by Patrick Stewart. That's just like an all-inspiring scene though. While the scene, I will say that the movie is has a bit more of a serious tone. It's not as much silliness as, or not as much, shall we say, silliness as the first and second one has though, although there were serious moments in those movies. But this one really took it up a notch though, and to see a lot of these villains, Dr. Octavius, Green Goblin, played by William Dafoe, Jimmy Fox playing Electro, and seeing Sandman. So it was just amazing and all. And it does sort of give you an idea, it does make you kind of wondering, does give you an idea of what the next upcoming Marvel movie, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse, is going to be like. That one's going to be very interesting, to be exact though. So I'm very curious to see how they take basically the next Spider-Man movie, the next one, whenever that be. We know there's going to be a new set of trilogy. Maybe this will open the doors to seeing Miles Morales become Spider-Man though. Maybe he enters in though. Maybe we might see Spider-Gwen now that we have the introduction of the multiverse. So who knows what kind of direction this will go though. But the way this movie was handled was really, really good though. I mean, there were a lot of good Marvel movies this year though. Black Widow, the Eternals though, but I will say Spider-Man No Way Home was probably the best movie this year in regards to the MCU, to be exact. So I think this one was really good. Definitely recommend you go see this if you get the chance though. And as far as end credit scenes, there's only 2, but spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it, the end credit scenes near the end of Spider-Man No Way Home is basically the teaser trailer for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse. So somewhat disappointed on that though, but nothing that I lost sleep over. But either way, Spider-Man No Way Home is well worth watching if you get a chance. I really enjoyed this movie, and I'm glad I saw it on Christmas Day though. Okay, this concludes my video review of Halo Infinite's campaign and my thoughts on the movie Spider-Man No Way Home. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about the Halo Infinite campaign though? Have you tried the campaign out though? And if so, which system are you trying it on? The PC, the Xbox Series X, the Xbox Series S, or the Xbox One, to be exact though? Do you like this approach that they're going with the campaign in terms of this open world approach though, or do you prefer the linear approach? And if you like the open world approach, do you feel they could do more, maybe take it to another level, to be exact though? And what is your thoughts about Spider-Man No Way Home? Did you like the movie? Did you get a nostalgic trip when seeing Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield appear in this movie, and also maybe William Dafoe as the Green Goblin or Jamie Foxx as Electro though? Did you like that? You thought the tone was good and all that stuff? Does it now make you more curious of exactly what's in store for, say, the multiverse, particularly with the upcoming Doctor Strange and the multiverse, though. Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You can do it through PayPal Me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video, and I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, wish you all a good day then. Bye!